You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Handsome Air and Airport, we are back for our 182nd episode of Keep Canada Weird, a weekly series in which we recap, discuss, break down, roll our eyes at all the unique and offbeat news stories that played out across Canada over the past week. But before we get to that important work, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well. I'm near you today.
Yeah, your background looks very different. It looks much more modern than the backwoods Cape Breton background you usually have. Which amazing city are you in?
I'm in the beautiful city of Halifax here in Nova Scotia. I am up for work-related matters, so I'm here for a few evenings, and hopefully you and I can meet in person and get a coffee and hang out for a brief moment. But
that would be nice.
We
could have a special drink.
Yeah, we could have a special drink together, yeah.
We could do one together, but since we can't do one together tonight, we're here remotely recording Keep Canada Weird, we can have a virtual special drink, and I know you're not going to be happy about this one. I'm drinking a tea from Tim Hortons, but not because I support this horrible franchise that's currently in shambles, but because they have a cool promotion right now that I actually enjoy. They have a line of vintage cups. They brought back 4 paper cups from the company's history, one from the 60s, I believe, 60s, 70s, one from the 80s, and 2 from the 2000s.
Yeah, that's a huge joke, the whole thing. It's a diversion. It's a diversion, and it's them saying, like, remember when we used to be good? Don't you want to go back to the days when we used to have a good product, when we were a decent coffee shop, and when we were Canadian? Remember that? Remember when we were Canadian? And that's all they're doing is just using these cups as a way to completely gaslight, the coffee buying audience here in Canada. It's a joke.
I know.
I think you should dump that out right now. Throw it in the garbage. I'm insulted that you brought it on this show. And that is not a special drink. It is not a special drink.
If you hold the cup the right way and kind of squint your eyes the right way and really chug it fast, you almost can't tell it's the year 2025 and everything's gone to hell. Do you have a special drink? Enough about my divisive special drink.
Yeah, well, yours is not a special drink. I actually have a special drink.
Okay. Lay it on me.
And yours is not special whatsoever. It's evil. It's gross.
I have an upsetting drink.
Yeah. An angry, awful, evil, manipulative drink. I do have a special drink. It's a Blue Lobster, lemon lime flavor.
Oh, great. This is liquor, right?
It is liquor, yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Now I know my night and morning is going to be spent editing this podcast episode.
No.
I love when you drink.
Oh, do you? Yeah. My family does too.
Tell me more about this Blue Lobster.
Well, this is a Blue Lobster. It's like a vodka soda kind of drink. No calories. It's 0 sugar. And I just spilled some on my hand and my table.
Okay, well, let's get this party started. Speaking of parties getting started, let's hear about a party that came to a crashing halt and as a result is delaying Keep Canada Weird swag packs to Keep Canada Weird correspondents all over the world. As you know, when listeners send in a voicemail to the show, they become a correspondent, and in return for that, they get a Keep Canada Weird / the Canadian Gothic swag pack mailed to them. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 days ago, I went to the post office with a bag of swag packs. There was, I think, about 47 swag packs that I was sending out. Got stamps for them all, dropped them in the mailbox, walked away thinking a lot of Keep Canada Weird listeners are going to be happy when they get their new stickers and stuff. What happened the next day? Canada Post strikes again. The company has gone on strike for what feels like the second time in as many months. I feel like the last strike just ended. And now I have, again, 47-ish swag packs held up in the postage system somewhere. All that to say, if you're a listener waiting on a swag pack, it's going to be a little while and it's out of my hands.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing I will do. It certainly is unfortunate because the first time that they went on strike what was it, last year sometime?
It feels like it wasn't even a year ago, but it wasn't long ago. And I think it was closer to Christmas last time, which is a big deal.
We had a lot of lead up to that strike where the warnings were there. We're going to go on strike on this day if we don't reach an agreement by this time, all of these things, so that you weren't sending out any mail the several days leading up to that strike because you knew it could quite possibly get held up in purgatory. But this time it just happened all of a sudden. And I had sent some mail like the day or two before, which is probably in mail purgatory. It was really unfortunate that it happened that out of the blue for most people. I'm sure there were some people who knew it was coming, but the general public, I think, was in the dark on that. And
yeah, I certainly was. And you want to hear about someone who really got caught off guard? I don't feel like I feel bad that the Keep Canada Weird correspondents are going to be waiting for their swag packs. But considering how bad it could be, I think we made off pretty well. I want to start the show tonight with one quick news story about a small business owner in Canada who's been affected by the strike in a Keep Canada Weird way. Listen to this story.
Well, when the strike was announced, of course, there was immediate panic. I have 184 mail-outs to do this year, all across the country, from Newfoundland to the West Coast and even into Northwest Territories. I have purchased the standard mail-out boxes already from Canada Post, which is they're called flat rate boxes, in order to ship the cakes, and I have absorbed that cost. And in order to absorb an additional cost of courier service, which honestly is pretty well impossible because there'd be a different rate for each of the 184 addresses.
Okay, I want to talk to you about these mailouts. Explain to us, what is it you're mailing here? You referenced it, you said cakes.
I'm mailing Christmas cakes. And some people have ordered one, and some people have ordered as many as 6.
Wow.
So I purchased these flat rate boxes from Canada Post, which is a flat rate to anywhere in Canada. And I have absorbed that cost already. And so I think my opinion is right now, and I will be contacting each and every one of the 184 people on my list and asking them if they'll wait it out with me until the strike is over.
So Jim, you've already baked all of these cakes? I mean, we're looking at footage, but those are the cakes that you're waiting to send out here?
Yeah, I have baked 724 Christmas cakes.
Oh, he's hit hard, man. He's stuck there in a house with about 800. And when he says Christmas cakes, they're those fruit cakes. The worst cakes.
Yeah. Traditionally known as fruit cakes, the cakes that the general public hates. But it seems like the older demographic looks very fondly back on Christmas cakes or fruit cakes and really enjoys them and likes to have them during the holidays. I know my father makes fruit cakes or Christmas cakes. Yeah, he does. And there are people who do request. He doesn't do it anymore, but for years, every leading up to the holidays, he would always be kind of slaving over the stove making fruit cakes. And for people, different people that wanted them and that really enjoyed them. And as a kid, you know, when you're young and you love sugar and you love anything sweet and anything like that you can get your hands on, anything that ends in cake, you're going to be like, yeah, give it to me, give it to me. But I remember trying fruitcake and I'm like, you know, I'm 8 years old and this sucks.
Yeah. I have a bunch of stickers in the mail. That's nothing compared to the sweet old man with 800 fruitcakes that has to now figure out how to get them to his clients that have between 1 and 6 cakes per person.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of other uses for fruitcakes. They can be used as really good paperweights. They can be used as if you've got enemies, you can throw the Christmas cake at them. And
that could be quite a weapon. Like those are a bit dense. You could put a window out pretty easy with a Christmas cake. I was going to say like hide in a bush and throw them at cars, but yeah, that could do some real damage.
I wouldn't throw them at cars because that's really dangerous because again, these are like actual bricks. So they will dent the car.
They could
injure the driver.
They could be used as bricks. They could be used
as
thinking,
actual bricks. Yeah. But if I were him, I would look at this as a blessing because as we know, society is on the verge of crumbling. And we're all going to need to ration up. And these Christmas cakes are very shelf stable. So he'd be able to put these in his bunker and he'll be able to live off of them for quite some time.
Yeah, he's going to be in pretty good shape. That's a positive way to think about it. Let's move on to something not so positive before we get into the rest of the week's weird news stories. I have a listener voicemail I want to play. This is a listener named Carolyn who left us a voice message in response to your recent trend of banning listeners who cross you in one way or another. Somehow along the line in the bannings, it became a little kinky and suggestive, and I don't think that's anything to do with you. I think that's more to do with the response and the perhaps banning fetish many of our listeners have. Carolyn has some thoughts on it and maybe a little bit of a challenge. Listen to this.
Okay.
Hello, Jordan and Aaron. This is Carolyn here from the beautiful little village of Westport, Ontario. I frequently listen to your show, you two marvelous clowns. And, I was thinking lately, perhaps you're getting a little too big for your boots. All of this bragging about banning people. Let me ask you, have you ever banned an older woman? Because unless you have, I think you should tone it right down on the banning, bragging. And apart from that, I double dare you. And I'd like you to keep Canada weird. Thanks.
Yeah, it's true. I think what she's saying is like we've been punching down quite a bit. And I wonder if she's kind of challenging you to maybe throw a fist up and ban someone of your own stature. Someone who's as confident in their shoes as Carolyn is.
It's Carolyn, but she's suggesting that I haven't banned any older women. Is that what she's suggesting?
I think that's what she's suggesting, and I think she's probably also suggesting you probably aren't man enough to do it.
Oh, really? Is that what she's suggesting? It sounds like Carolyn wants to get banned.
Uh-oh.
And I think I'm just the man to do it.
Give it to her, Aaron.
So, Carolyn, you're banned.
Oh.
You're banned for life.
Damn.
That's how hard you are banned.
Wow.
So you can't leave a voicemail for the rest of your life, and you can't come within 1,000 feet of Jordan and I, and you can't think about Penny, Jordan's dog, and you can't think about my cat, Ken Tiggs, and don't go near our socials or Facebook, and certainly don't go near Aaron Airport's TikTok where you can walk with him and listen to music.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said and well deserved. Let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we have one of Canada's strangest crime stories. A crime story that revolves all around apples and U-Picks. After this break. This is one of my favorite kinds of stories, Aaron. This is one of those two-part stories, a story where we get the update in real time, almost like back in Unsolved Mysteries days. You'd watch the TV show Unsolved Mysteries. They would explain to you the story, and then it would cut to the Unsolved Mysteries call center that was in the background, and then they'd have breaking news and they solve the story right there. This is going to be kind of like that, but more so the instant karma version. A Waterloo region orchard has gone public after the theft of apples from their U-Pick area has gotten so bad that they've had to overhaul their rules and tighten security just to stay afloat. Let's listen in on some of the U-Pick apple chaos that's happening in Ontario right now.
And just pull. Oh, look at that.
It's a popular autumn pastime.
We've welcomed a lot more people onto our farm than in past years. We've had 4,000 people come by this last weekend.
Shoe Orchards in West Montrose has welcomed people to pick their own apples for 3 years. But lately, they've noticed a troubling trend.
Myself, I've caught about 250 pounds of stolen goods on 3 occasions of around 80 pounds each. We are erring on the side of conservatism. My staff let me know that they saw a customer group putting apples in the stroller, a blanket concealed about 40 Honeycrisp apples.
So they've brought in new rules. More staff during busy times, caution tape at the end of rows by the main road, and a ban on strollers. And anyone picking apples will have to use a bag provided by the farm.
It takes a lot of labor, a lot of input costs. And that's what's the most disappointing for us, is that, we've seen these apples grow from a bud to an apple throughout our whole growing season. We're farmers, and so it's disappointing.
The farm says the goal is to keep the pick your own tradition alive and fair, hoping a little honesty will go a long way. Police are weighing in too. They say stealing produce, whether it be from a roadside stand or a pick your own orchard, it's still theft. They say if there's enough evidence, charges can be laid.
That breaks my heart. And that's a bit of like the pulse of the state of the world. Like a U-pick apple orchard seems like one of the most, if not the most innocent place on earth. Apple orchards that have U-pick services in children's hospitals are like two safe places in my mind. And to hear that people would go to a U-pick and smuggle apples out of there in baby strollers and stuff. Come on. Like, I get picking up an apple while you're picking and like eating it or something, but to fill a baby stroller with like 40 pounds of apples, that's awful.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me though. And in a way, it's kind of good that they finally have made some of these security changes where they're not going to allow you to bring in certain things that you can hide apples in. That should have been done from the start, I think. And yeah, like, sure, going to a U-pick is kind of an innocent, a way back kind of activity to do that's relaxing and quaint and all of these things. But at the same time, you got to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed to make sure that people aren't making off with your product and stealing from you.
Yeah.
And when you go to the mall, it's the same thing. There's certain rules you have to follow. And I think it's okay that they enact these rules and make sure that nobody is taking anything from them.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't distract from the experience. Like, because a part of, I think, I don't know if we have to explain what a U-pick is. There's maybe parts of the world that don't have this. It's like a farm where you show up and you probably pay an admission, or you get, you buy like a bag. I've always gone to ones where there'd be like 3 sizes of bags. For $10 you get this, you get $20 for this bag. And then you walk around the field and you actually pick the apples right off the tree and leave with them. So it's the part of the experience is getting the apples fresh from the farm, but more so it's like bringing your family and your kids and walking around the fields and grabbing apples and stuff, which is very cool. I've never thought of security in terms of theft being an issue at all, but yeah, here it is. And they, not only is it an issue, it's such an issue that they actually had to like go on the news and talk about it. I think a part of what brought this to the public to the extent that it is on the news is this farm or orchard or whatever the right word is for it. They made a Facebook post or an Instagram post or something that got a lot of action. And then the news probably bit on that. It's a little sad. But before we get to the update, let me just ask you, have you ever done this? Have you gone to a U-pick and do you enjoy it?
I haven't been to an apple U-pick, but I have been to like a strawberry U-pick.
Okay. And I've been to blueberry as well.
Yeah, and blueberry. I've done the berry picks, but I got to be honest, I would rather just go to the grocery store and just buy a bag of apples. But I'm not a baker, so I can see why somebody would want to physically go and pick out the product, the freshest possible, and I get that. But I found the strawberry U-pick quite a lot of work, and my back was kind of sore afterwards, and I did nothing with the strawberries but freeze them and then give them to somebody.
Okay. Yeah, strawberry be a different story. An apple U-pick's a lot easier because the apples are at like eye level, so you're not bending over, and it's not like with strawberries you got to pick 60 of them or something. With apples, really, you're just grabbing like maybe 25 big fat apples, Honeycrisp apples, which are amazing. I love doing it. I think it's great. But let's get to the update. Here's what's interesting. That news clip we just heard, that was aired on September 23rd. It only took 6 days. This next article was published on September 29th. If you have it in front of you there, maybe you can summon the newsboy.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Waterloo Region Police have laid charges in the now notorious apple theft saga at Shoe Orchards. He's not great at pronouncing certain words, so we're going to leave it at that.
Okay.
A 39-year-old woman from Guelph has been charged with theft after the orchard's owner caught her moving apples out of a farm-issued bag and into her trunk. Police say she paid for some apples but tried to sneak off with nearly 40 pounds more. The charge comes just a week after the orchard went public with concerns about persistent thefts, hundreds of pounds of fruit disappearing into strollers, wagons, and backpacks. Owner Tim Shu has already banned outside bags and says if the stealing continues, he may reconsider whether U-Pick is worth keeping alive. There's a lot to chew on in this, and there's so much to talk about. So he's been banning people.
It turns out he has, and I think justifiably, but I think it's a different situation here. People aren't stealing from Keep Canada Weird. They're simply upsetting you in these trivial ways.
I disagree. They are stealing from my dignity, and I think that is just as valuable as apples.
Okay. Are you surprised that somebody decided to fill their trunk with stolen apples from the apple orchard that was just on the news about all the things it's doing to stop theft?
Some people don't watch the news.
It turns out they don't. It has to be the biggest idiot. Like the police were even in that news article, like giving comments on, like it's theft as much as stealing from a roadside stand or a grocery store. But it says a 39-year-old woman, she fills her trunk with apples. Imagine like getting caught with that. Oh man, what a stupid, stupid thing to get arrested doing. It has to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's dumb, yeah.
What would you even do with that?
With the apples?
Well, I guess she'd just eat them and
sell them.
That's a dumb
Probably
thing.
sell them herself. Maybe at a farmer's market. Maybe on the side of the road. Apples for sale, kind of thing. Yeah, you see that all the time. Fruit being sold on the side of the road.
You'd never think it's stolen from a U-Pick. But Honeycrisp apples, which I don't know if they're all around the world, but Honeycrisp apples are a premium apple here in Canada. If you go into the grocery store, the Honeycrisp are going to be the most expensive apple per pound. I love them, but I rarely buy them because they're just so expensive. I don't know what 40 pounds of those apples are worth, but it's probably a pretty good amount of money. And yeah, it's so it is a crime. She's charged with theft under $5,000, so they're not worth more than $5,000, but still it's a sizable amount of product to steal from this family-run business. Shame on you, 39-year-old woman from Guelph.
Yeah.
Are they going to throw the book at her, do you think? Will this be treated, just because it is a little absurd, will it be treated differently than if she stole bags of apples from the grocery store?
Yeah, it should be treated the same. If it's stealing, I mean, the amount will be the same dollar-wise. Like are you suggesting that they should give her a harsher punishment because of the trend, to set an example here?
No, I think they should treat it exactly as if she stole something from the grocery store, something from the mall. It's not like, the people I feel bad for are people who are like stealing to feed their kids or something like that. They're on the streets or a step away from it. That's a little bit different. But 40 pounds of apples from a U-Pick, you got a vehicle and you're filling the trunk. That's nasty. I'd say throw the book at her and set an example. And if she is convicted, everyone in the court should laugh at the end. But let's move away from apples to something completely different. Let's catch up on a past story. We have a listener named Wayne. He wants to weigh in on something we talked about, I believe in episode 181. We heard about the stretch of road near downtown Toronto where there's no parking, and someone seems to really want that enforced to the point that they've been, what we thought and what the news seemed to think, was driving around and shooting BBs or pellets or some kind of thing into the windows. The idle car shooter, I think, is what we were referring to it as. Our correspondent Wayne, has an alternate theory that really changed my perception on what's happening in that story. Listen to this.
Hey fellas, it's Wayne here, your correspondent in Thailand, formerly Borneo and Cape Breton. Anyhow, just a theory on your shooter in so-called shooter in Toronto with regards to the parking. That to me sounds like a slingshot, which would be very, very hard to find. If it's a pellet gun, the projectile wouldn't be that big, but it's perfect for a slingshot. And slingshot you buy at places like Canadian Tire can do a lot of damage. Anyway, that's my thoughts. Have a good one, boys.
That's a really good point. When we heard that story, I remember them describing the object that was busting the windows of the cars that were idling in that area as like almost like I think they even said almost a little over a centimeter diameter in these metal balls. And I remember thinking like a pellet or a BB from a typical gun, a BB gun or something. It's only this small little thing, but this is a larger piece of metal. And yeah, it would be the perfect size for a slingshot. A slingshot would be a lot easier to conceal than a pellet gun in a car. And it further moves this to possibly being related to like kids and teenagers. I have a feeling if you went knocking on doors in that area, you may find a little punk kid with a slingshot. And maybe it has nothing to do with idling cars.
Yeah, maybe it's just Bart Simpson on his skateboard just rolling around the town shooting people with a slingshot.
It's interesting. Good idea, Wayne. That left me scratching my head. Let's get to our second break. When we get back, we'll get to what we refer to here on Keep Canada Weird as our WTF segment. This is going to be just some stories that are just off this wall, that are just off the wall, and absolutely keep Canada weird to the core. When we get back, we'll hear about some mysterious blackish red dust that is upsetting people in Ontario. See my hands? That's the dust.
Yeah, that's the dust. Yeah, it's really good.
Handsome Aaron Airport. This next story seems pulled from a script of like Stranger Things, although it does have an explanation, but I'm leaning more towards cover-up. Let me introduce it this way. Residents in Falconbridge, Ontario woke up this week to find their vehicles and their homes coated in mysterious blackish reddish dust. The mystery led back to a large industrial smelter in the center of the community. It's called Glencore. Here's the story of the mysterious blackish red dust that's rained down on small-town Ontario.
Residents in the greater Sudbury community of Falconbridge woke up yesterday to a film of black dust. Details are still emerging about what it is, but residents now know where it came from.
Falconbridge homeowner Rhonda Lalonde shows us the black reddish dust that covered her yard and truck. She discovered it Wednesday morning and was immediately concerned.
Everybody had touched it. Were kids up at the park playing in it. My dogs went outside and took a drink out of their outside water bowl. I'm just concerned on, the lack of information.
In a statement, Glencore says a dust release occurred from the Sudbury smelter Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. The smelter and Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks have taken samples to fully understand the material. The company says it also reported the incident to Public Health Sudbury and districts. But Public Health says they first heard about the incident from community members. Public Health has issued precautions for residents of Falconbridge, including using protective equipment when cleaning dust from properties, not to eat affected garden produce, keep children and pets from playing in affected areas, and turn off air conditioners and furnaces until further notice. Glencore says it's offering vouchers for vehicle cleaning and supporting residents in determining additional cleaning needs.
It sounds a little sketchy to me. It's this smelter. I had to kind of do a bit of research in what Glencore does and what a smelter is, but it seems that they turn material into like 99.9% pure copper. So they're like melting down rocks and metals to make like refined copper, I guess is the word. So what has spread over the city was some kind of mistake within the industrial plant that does this boiling of metal, and it led to like a dusty smoke overnight, just filling the entire community to the point that houses, cars, streets, sidewalks, dog water bowls and backyards are just covered in this blackish reddish film. And to me, it's a little terrifying. Like if you live near a large industrial plant, the last thing you want is some weird dust spreading all around your yard of a mysterious metallic substance.
Yeah, especially when you know nothing about it and you don't know what it could be causing. You and I come from an area in Cape Breton, in Sydney, Nova Scotia, where the steel plant was a big thing that caused a lot of, pollution and waste into the local area. That, the cancer rates went up. There was all of these extremely data-driven negative effects that are trackable in terms of what happened to people who lived near this plant. And when you see something like this happen, it brings me back to those days in the 90s when it was like there seemed like there was no hope at all that this toxic sludge and this completely, environmental disaster would ever be cleaned up. And this reminds me of that a lot when you're thinking, yeah, there was a lot of this dust that fell at this point in time that was noticeable, but what about the minute parts that may not be noticeable at all that are constantly falling, that they're breathing in?
Yeah, there was one bad night that left a big mess, but every other night there was probably still a few particles falling down and you were breathing them in, and slowly over the years. Yeah. And the tests have come back on what this dust is made up of. And Glencore has referred to it as just typical smelting dust. But when you actually read what it is, it's made of mainly iron and silica with smaller amounts of nickel, sulfur, copper, and cobalt with traces of other elements. Now, I don't know what any of that means, but I know that you shouldn't have that mix of things falling on your house and your dog water bowl and everything else. I guess that's like it's the risk of living near an industrial plant, and that's why people don't want these giant factories to open near their homes. But it's just it's a crappy situation. I feel for the people in this community because they probably feel pretty helpless up against this, giant company that probably has a lot of political power because they probably employ a lot of people in that community and pay large taxes and stuff. It's a crappy situation. And I should note that Falconbridge, before this situation, also found fame in the UFO world. There was a semi-famous UFO event in November of 1975 that involved an object being tracked on NORAD radar near Falconbridge. It was actually spotted through binoculars as well by OPP officers. And it's been like one of those UFO sightings that have a lot of like documentation and witnesses and stuff. So I'd rather Falconbridge be famous for that rather than the place that had this bizarre chemical metallic dust fall on it. It does strike me as a bit of a Stranger Things storyline, though. I don't know why. I just picture it's dark at night. There's this small town, and then there's this like purplish mist just like kind of coming out of the factory in the center of town.
Yeah, absolutely. There's got to be some creature somewhere that was created by this mist that is lurking in the sewers and in the woods of this small town. And then for the non-viewing audience, Jordan just made a claw at me, as if he was the creature, and I got scared. So that's what happened there.
Since that story was a little bit of a horror show, we'll lighten things up before we get to our next and final story. We have a listener named Jenny who's calling in, and this is both a callback to a prior story we've covered, as well as it's going to give us an opportunity to plug some bonus content that we just released on the Keep Canada Weird feed and the Canadian Gothic premium feed. Jenny phoned in to tell us about a movie she happened upon that reminded her of our prior special episode called Entirely Tires. We did an episode a while back that was dedicated entirely to people telling us about their tire stories. Listen to what Jenny has to say.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. This is Jenny from London, Ontario. I have recently learned that there is a movie, a horror comedy called Rubber, which is about a murderous tire. And I thought it might be a good opportunity for you guys to do a movie review that ties in both with the Halloween season and Entirely Tires. I haven't seen it myself, so I can't say whether this is a good recommendation, but maybe you want to talk about it and I will learn from you whether or not I should watch it. Thanks. Bye.
So I did a bit of reading about this movie Rubber. Here's a bit of the plot summary. Rubber is a 2010 English language French independent absurdist horror comedy written and directed by Quentin Dupuis. The film is about a tire that comes to life and uses psychokinetic powers to kill people.
Wow.
Do you want to review that?
Yeah.
Jenny, you watch it and let us know what you think.
Yeah, you review it and then leave another voicemail and with your review, and we'll air that. And then that way Jordan and I can watch a good movie.
Yeah, well, and here's my segue. I stumbled upon another movie that we may be interested in. There's a movie from the year 2021. It's called The Stairs. The film centers on a group of friends who encounter a bizarre, unnatural staircase in the middle of the woods that leads to strange occurrences, including time distortions and the disappearances of people. You interested in that one?
Kind of. More than the Rubber one,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
I only introduced the movie Stairs so you can tell people what just was dropped on the Keep Canada Weird feed and the bonus and the Canadian Gothic premium feed. Let them know. what they're missing.
Exactly. Yeah. Because for people who only listen on the Canadian Gothic feed, formerly the nighttime feed, they don't realize maybe that you can subscribe to the Keep Canada Weird feed itself and get some of this bonus content for free. So certainly a motivation to do that, or subscribe to the Canadian Gothic premium feed, which is also a great cause as well.
You mentioned bonus content. Is there some new bonus content that we should know about?
Yes, Jordan. There is the Specifically Stairs episode that just came out today, and you can hear that episode on the Keep Canada Weird feed or the Canadian Gothic premium feed. And then oftentimes we have mailbag episodes that get released only on the Keep Canada Weird feed and the premium feed for Canadian Gothic. So lots of reasons to subscribe to both.
And people will enjoy the Specifically Stairs special. Now, something like that, the reason it doesn't come out on the main Canadian Gothic feed is it's a bit too weird and inside baseball. But it's I actually had to fight myself with not releasing it. And the reason is it's one of like my favorite episodes we've done in a long time. It's yourself, myself, and our good friend Randy, who turns out to have like this deep kind of passion for stairs that neither of us really knew about. And it's about 45 minutes of us talking about stairs and listeners phoning in to tell us their stories related to stairs. And it actually, like, I thought when we were recording it or preparing to record, I'm like, this is going to be the dumbest thing we've ever made. At the end of it, I was like, man, that like went really good. It's one of my favorite Keep Canada Weird episodes. So if you don't listen to the Keep Canada Weird feed or aren't subscribed to the Canadian Gothic's premium feed, go do it, if only to listen to Keep Canada Weird presents Specifically Stairs, because I thought it was awesome. But let's wrap up the episode with this. Let's call back to a story we covered almost 50 episodes ago. In episode 148, we discussed cherry blossoms, the divisive chocolate with the gooey cherry center, having been recently discontinued. Now, these were a candy that people across Canada knew. I wouldn't say they were beloved. They had a cult following, though, kind of like Christmas cakes or fruit cakes do. I wasn't surprised when I heard that they were being pulled off the shelves and were no longer being sold. That was almost a year ago that they stopped selling these things. But cherry blossoms popped up in the news again. Some Canadians have been mourning the loss. Others have been mocking the fact that they even existed and lasted this long. But resellers of cherry blossoms, they've cashed in. Listen to this.
A discontinued chocolate is turning out to be too sweet to pass up, with people selling it for big bucks on eBay. Hershey Canada announced early this year that cherry blossom chocolates would no longer be available in the coming months. And that sent fans to stores to stock up on the chocolate cherry mix in its signature yellow box. Now, some people are selling boxes of the sweet treat on eBay, ranging from $8 up to $48,000.
It all comes back to me to supply and demand. There's not a lot of people that love cherry blossoms, but if they stop making them and there's only, 1,000 of them left on planet Earth, somebody who loves cherry blossoms has enough money to blow that they'll pay good money for them. I think there's one guy that was mentioned that has like a box of them up for sale on eBay for $48,000. I doubt he'll get that, but if he just holds on to them in a year or 2 years, if he has the last box on earth, there's probably some rich person who's like, you know what? I don't care what they cost. I want some cherry blossoms. I'll pay it.
Or again, they're probably as equally shelf stable because of the amount of sugar in them as the Christmas cakes were. So in his bunker, he could keep these cherry blossoms and live off of them for, I don't know, a good couple weeks he'll get out of them before the zombies eat his face.
Yeah, cherry blossoms also they're pretty like solid because it's like a big hunk of chocolate with a gooey cherry thing in the center. The gooey cherry thing in the center it's pretty much pure sugar and it's covered in chocolate, so that's going to last a long time. The chocolate chunk that makes up the cherry blossoms also wrapped in foil and within a box. So if you had that in a fridge, I don't see why you couldn't have that last 5 years and it still be good. Like I think if right now, if anyone listening to this has a box of cherry blossoms, I'd say just put them away, and they're already worth their weight in gold, or at least pretty close to it. But if you can hold on to them for 2 or 3 years, yeah, you could cash in on that. I'm not surprised. Like when I heard that cherry blossoms were being discontinued, my first thought was like, oh man, I got to get my hands on some of this. But I didn't.
I didn't either. And I did find a stash of them. I remember when me and Randy, our friend, were coming back from Halifax a few months ago. And we found some at the Irving Big Stop that is just before you cross the causeway to Cape Breton. And we had found a bunch of them. And Randy did buy a few of them, but I should have picked up as many as I could. I didn't realize that they would turn into actual currency.
I'm not surprised to see that they had value. It's just kind of bizarre because my entire life, we've talked about this before, our entire lives, cherry blossoms were this unwanted, ugly stepchild of the chocolate bar that was just taking up shelf space at gas stations all across Canada. And now here they are on eBay going for top dollar. Actually, I shouldn't say going for top dollar. I looked and there are people trying to sell them for top dollar, but if you actually go through and look at like completed sales, I don't see many people buying cherry blossoms on eBay.
It hasn't been long enough. I think maybe in another 5 years, maybe they'll get more for them then, but right now it's still too soon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I agree. But I think but that's all our stories tonight. We set out to unpack the week's weird news. There was a lot of weird news this week. I think we got through it. We've also got the Specifically Stairs special out. Man, we need a break here. It's been, we've kept Canada weird, Aaron.
We did. We did our best, and we appreciate the Keep Canada Weird correspondents and the Army being by our side through the entire thing.
Yeah, it's been a great week. I'm very pleased with the 2 episodes we got out this week. It's been, I think, all things considered, this has been one of the best weeks of the show in the show's history. And as evidence of that, if you look at the Apple Podcast charts right now in Canada under comedy, we're like hovering right around the top 100, which is pretty good for, as Carolyn put it, what did she refer to us as? Just 2 clowns?
I banned her, so I don't think about her anymore. So.
Okay. It's been a great week, and I look forward to what comes next on episode 183, which will be out a week from now. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you have any thoughts or theories or opinions or feedback, or if you just want some free stickers, provided you're not banned, go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and share a ghost story. We're working on our Halloween special. We got a lot of good ghost stories coming in, but we'd like yours. If you've seen a ghost, if you believe in ghosts, if you owned a haunted house or visited one, or if you had an encounter with a Frankenstein, let us know about it at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. But with that said, Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Jordan Bus Stop Backhoe Bonaparte, until next time.
What's worse, stealing apples from a U-Pick or filling your pockets with contraband strawberries from a U-Pick? That'd be a good one to steal.
And Jordan, until next time, I like to think of you as my elusive and no longer sold cherry blossom. And I want to bite into you to eventually taste your emotional goo and your delicious cherry during the apocalypse.
Okay.
Does that? Can we keep that, or
yeah, we'll keep that in.
does that work, or
Yeah,
is it going to be okay?
Yeah, I think it'll
good.
be all right. Yeah. No, I think it's good. Yeah. No, they all get it. They get it for sure.
They get it. Okay, good. I don't need to explain it.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. A premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
Not to kind of cross topics here, but we record this show on typically Wednesday evenings live on YouTube, and then the episode comes out a few days later. But right now, Jeremy, who has been banned, is in the chat.
No way.
And Jeremy says, though I'm banned, I have to say that is a handsome airport. So I'm going to, right now, tell Jeremy to get out
of the
Jeremy.
No, you know what? I think the chat is like international waters. I don't think we have the authority to do anything about that.
We have to talk about that. I still think Jeremy should leave because it's making everybody else uncomfortable and it's a little disrespectful. You've been banned. You need to kind of accept that as your punishment. You asked for it. You wanted to be banned. You came looking for it. You were begging for it, to be perfectly honest. And you've been banned. You need to go. You can still listen at home, but you can't be communicating with us or anything like that.